crypto asset? Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
This is Discover Crypto, where we teach you how to make money in crypto every single day. So smash that like button. I'm your host, DZ. I'm here with Josh and TJ. It's a very special day. We got a lot of news to cover. We got to talk about $200,000 Bitcoin in 2025. We got to talk about this new 21 shares, what that means for Bitcoin moving forward, and is nation state adoption currently underway? And I've heard rumors of Pokemon teaming up with the top 20 cryptocurrency for an NFT project.
I've heard about
that's
that.
actually interesting. But
what would be your NFT Pokemon that you'd want to buy? Is it a Charizard? Is it a Pikachu?
oh well, Charizard's the most expensive Pokemon card, so you got to just kind of roll that over into it. But if
What's
I
your
like
favorite Pokemon? Chat. What's your favorite Pokemon?
honestly, I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head. I mean, I was a huge Blastoise kid.
Yeah.
But
like Ditto. TJ, did you have one?
I did not do Pokemon, actually. Yeah, I was the typical.
Have you seen Fight Club?
I have seen that. It took me a long time, but yeah, a lot of the basic childhood stuff like that. For whatever reason, that missed my household. So all my friends played it. I got the kid across the street had tons of Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, I could name a few. Pikachu. Obviously, a lot of people naming.
But wait till you see what chain it is. You guys are gonna be very excited. Yeah, Mewtwo. People love Mewtwo. I rode my bicycle to watch the Pokemon movie back in the day. Yeah, I was a wee child. All right, let's look at Bitcoin's price action real quick, because we are getting a little bit of a pump here. You can see kind of started real close to that 1030 area, and it looks like it bounced right off the 50-minute on the 1 minute, so the 50 EMA here. But Bitcoin, when you zoom out, slowed down a little bit, but we're still feeling pretty bullish here. Once we hit this, you can see we've made 1, 2, 3 red 4-hour candles. But is this the point where Bitcoin's going to regain its momentum? The bulls and the bears are on the sidelines and they're waiting. But if you want to bet on the direction of Bitcoin, we still have our competition. Super easy to win. First place is going to get 3K. Second place getting 2K. Third place is going to be getting 1K. And we've only had 7 people sign up. So when I say this is super easy to win, folks, this might be pretty easy to win for you. So maybe get those trades in.
Yeah, I'm gonna swoop in there and take the victory lap for that $3,000 tonight. I'm
sorry,
guys.
I opened a 50x short on Pepe, but I only put on $50 there. I did it right before we went live. I'm gonna hit X and see the new. All right, so we're up 5%. Now we're down 5%.
I'm gonna give DZ the 3K because he's losing badly right now.
I've lost $2.50. I don't know if I'll financially recover from this, but yeah, I like having a little fun with the 50x. Sometimes you got to do something to feel alive. Now, looking at the crypto market here, is it alive? Well, Bitcoin is not alive. It is flat, 0.0%. Ethereum is down 1.8%. BNB is down. Solana is down. We don't see a green until Cardano. Cardano is up 0.8%, and Tron is up 0.3%. And Sui is up 4.7%. Maybe it's related to the Pokemon news. That's right. I'm front running the info here. Sui and Pokemon. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. And XLM. Good job, XLM community. Now, we're looking for the biggest gainers. It is Trump. We're going to reveal why Trump is having a pump. Did you hold any? Did you sell or did you buy any Trump?
Didn't even touch Trump with the 10-foot pole.
I bought some. I sold at a profit. I think you did too. Yeah. You still got your bag, a little bag?
I still have a reasonably sized bag. Yeah. I have no other meme coins. I rolled all my meme coins into that. I got in Trump around $6, I think. And so yeah, I'm definitely not in one of the top 220. But I'm probably in the top 10%. I don't know. I've got a decent amount.
Now, when we go to the 1 hour chart, I got to pass it to Josh here because Josh, Ondo has surged 9%.
Yeah, today's Ondo day. Hour. That is the actual day. We had breaking news roughly, 30 minutes ago here. If you pull up my screen, drum roll, please. Boom, baby. SEC and Ondo Finance discuss compliance for tokenized securities. Ondo has not only Patrick McHenry, which is the former House representative, head of the House Financial Services Committee, They have the direct in with Paul Atkins here. So they're going to be meeting, and it looks like, look, Ondo not only were a huge donor to Trump's party there, they held the or hosted the crypto ball. Some of these projects, guys, these U.S. based projects, they're going to try to inch their way into helping, one, with legislation, but two, with compliance, and three, more than likely participate within what is known as the sandbox, where these are the leaders within the tokenized innovation in our market. So they're going to be meeting with the SEC. According to O'Daily, the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission has released a memorandum detailing a meeting between representatives from Ondo Finance, Davis Polk, and Wardwell LLP, and the SEC's crypto task force. The discussion focused on establishing a compliance pathway for the issuance and sale of tokenized security. That is your player here. And yeah, I mean, we've been calling this forever. Shout out to Not Telling, dude. He is like one of the best Ondo coverages that you could possibly get on
he
Twitter.
Covers a lot of Plume too, which Plume's been doing really well. A lot of people using it for DeFi, earning with it. I know DeFi crypto airdrops here in the chat. Bullish on Ondo, bullish on Plume. They've been on that game for a really long time. Smash the like button, guys, if you love it for when things pump and when we cover all this news here on Discover Crypto. And if you guys missed it, obviously a lot of people missed out that we started early yesterday. We were covering the Scott Bessent speech at the IMF, which was really great to watch. I mean, he took a lot of direct shots at them, which you love to see it. We've been needing that for a long time. So if you guys missed that and you weren't here early, it's because you didn't have notifications on. So turn those notifications off, turn them back on, because there's going to be a lot of breaking news that comes out. The market is moving very quickly right now. It's been kind of in a lull for the last several months, but especially this summer, second half of this year, that's when most of the fun happens. So make sure you've got those notifications on because there's a lot of big stuff coming. So
in Amsterdam, who are you alleging has the strange hairline, wearing a hairpiece for sure? I'm interested in that. Well, let's talk about 200K Bitcoin. Institutional demand is going to be the fuel. It's going to be the rocket fuel for Bitcoin to hit 200K in 2025. So we're talking about 7-8 months here. And so Bitcoin could keep rising on ETF inflows and institutional demand. Demand from institutions could push it as high as 200K per coin this year. Institutional demand from ETFs and traders seeking to hedge against macroeconomic risk. The report comes as Bitcoin broke past 90K for the first time in 6 weeks, reflecting traders embracing Bitcoin and gold as hedges against looming trade wars and geopolitical volatility. This also followed the biggest daily net inflows into the Bitcoin ETF spot market since January. Now, gold and Bitcoin appear to become more important components of investors' portfolios structurally as they increasingly seek to hedge against geopolitical risk and inflation. And this is according to JP Morgan. So would you agree with that assessment? And now that I've heard it verbalized, I would say the billionaires, you're seeing more, I would say corporate treasuries, the people that are in charge of that, the CFOs. We're seeing countries talk about this. We're seeing China buying records amount of gold in 2024. I would say gold and Bitcoin, more important part of a portfolio than any time in history.
Yeah. I mean, gold, I'm not jumping into at these levels, but that is because, and maybe we got a little lucky on that purchase. I mean, gold's up like 2x. So there's a really cool chart I'll pull up here in a little bit. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you bought gold in 1496 or whatever, the relative price to it before the Spanish dumped all the gold into the market,
all them galleons.
Yep, you would be at break even today with the price back at $3,200. But that's just a little fun joke. No one was alive, obviously, in the 1400s. Obviously, though, when I'm looking at the charts here, when I'm looking at, just the upside, Bitcoin's the answer. Bitcoin, I expect it to catch up to gold at one point. We all do, sitting in this room. Every single person in crypto, almost every single person in this chat believes Bitcoin is digital gold and it's going to trade as such in the future. So if you're looking at gold at a $20 trillion market cap, great. Gold's a perfect store of value. If you're buying jewelry, I don't really ever think there's a bad time to necessarily buy gold. But again, if I'm looking at what's my longer term safe haven, it's definitely going to be the asset that can't be dumped on the market by another country because there is lots of gold out there. Now, again, gold safe haven, not trashing on it. Just saying the upside there for Bitcoin much higher, and I'm much better off with it. I have my favorite line though. Do you have the Jack Mallard clip that with the money printing clip?
I do not.
I'm going to pull that up because I saw this clip yesterday and it was probably one of the most base takes I've ever heard on the comparison of the dollar, not gold, the dollar to Bitcoin. And I'll show that in just a moment. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts there.
I will say we no longer talk about is Fort Knox empty, and why not?
Because it's empty. Is it bad that chat? Let us know. Yes or no? Do you believe Fort Knox is empty? I seriously think I would say it's 20 to 30% of the U.S. population believes there is no gold in there. Like they just don't trust it. Not as much gold as they claim.
I would not be surprised if all the gold isn't there. I would be surprised if all the gold was there.
That would be more shocking.
I would be more shocked by that. Yeah.
If the Pentagon can't audit themselves for, 2 decades, I'm going to be a lot less confident in us passing an audit for something that's.
Well, they had a lot of offices in the World Trade Center that was in charge of audits.
Wait, what was that?
That's just facts. I don't want, I said the words I'm not supposed to. I can't even say those things. So, folks, if you want to smash that like button, let's talk about sovereign wealth.
Skip it.
Sovereign wealth pouring into Bitcoin. So, we have the ETF demand. We're seeing corporate demand. Now we're seeing the nation state demand. And a Coinbase executive said it is 100% happening, especially in the month of April. Sovereign wealth funds and other institutions were accumulating Bitcoin during April, while retail traders were exiting the market. This is according to John D'Agostino. He is the head of strategy at Coinbase Institutional. Bitcoin is.
I actually have the video clip of that if you wanted to play the video. Yeah, let me give me a second here. And you guys might need headphones.
Andrew Ross Sorkin there.
Yeah, it's a couple minutes. I'll skip to where this is basically where he talks about major sovereign wealth buying specifically in April.
Correlation. And more specifically, we're talking about negative correlation when markets panicking on the downside. Nobody minds correlation when it's upside correlation. So, first and foremost, got to be super careful, right? This is a relatively short-term data set, April. You don't want to assume it's going to persist. I could be making a fool of myself right now, and today it could jump to a 1 correlation. The other thing you want to be careful about is, even if we understood exactly the reasons, and I'll get into what we think they are, just because this occurred now, it doesn't mean if that similar set of events occurred, we'd have exactly the same behavior. So just a disclaimer, be very, very careful. And that applies to gold, that applies to any asset. So the nice thing about my position is I don't have to guess as to what traders are thinking. We're kind of the center of the crypto ecosystem. So when you called me, I made a bunch of calls. And the pools of capital that have been buying during April, sovereign wealth funds, large institutional, long-term duration pools of capital, they're looking at it basically 3 ways. One is, if you think about the tariff announcement April 2nd, if you believe that that's going to have a spillover effect on global trade, you believe there's going to be less global trade, then much of which is denominated in US dollars, then you think there'll be lower demand for US dollars, that we refer to as de-dollarization. Well, some of the ways Bitcoin is used by these large pools of capital is they buy it in their local fiat currency, they hold it, and they sell it into dollars when they need it. Well, if you think dollar is going to weaken, then you don't do that anymore. And so you're holding more Bitcoin. And these, again, large insurance pools, sovereigns, et cetera. So that's one thing, is this de-dollarization trade. The second piece is that post-COVID, Bitcoin kind of got caught up in this levered tech trade, kind of just bundled into the QQQ, bundled into NVIDIA. It's not really a tech stock, but it kind of got associated with tech stocks.
Well, was it? I always thought that the issue was that there were retail investors who were taking their winnings, in some cases, from an NVIDIA or a Apple or Meta, whatever, one of the Mag 7, and then moving it into Bitcoin. And therefore, then it was all tracking, because to the extent that then they owned that other stuff too. Whenever it went down, they had to sell out of stuff. They also were selling out of Bitcoin.
During the bubbly periods in tech stocks, that's not an unfair assumption, but I'll note one thing. So for the month of April, as you would expect, gold ETF inflows were massive, like $8.5 billion roughly from the 2nd through the 22nd. Okay. Might surprise you to learn that Bitcoin ETF flows were net negative to the tune of about 470 million. So the opposite of that was occurring. So institutions, sovereigns, patient pools of capital were piling in during April, which resulted in about a 13% increase in Bitcoin versus 10.5 for gold. And retail via the ETF were exiting. So you got to kind of ask yourself, what do the institutions know?
Were the institutions buying Bitcoin direct? And how many of them are now buying via ETFs or other forms?
Well, hard to say. They don't, especially the sovereign wealth funds don't report.
Right. No, but you're also, I imagine, seeing the ETFs buying, because the ETFs should be buying on
in the last couple of days.
But the ETF should be buying on a relative basis on behalf of their customer base.
Right. Assuming there were inflows, right? But the last couple.
So yeah, I mean that was. I mean they just kind of go back and forth about the details there a little bit, but yeah, sovereign wealth funds buying in April and institutions buying in April. We've got a lot of stories and data to back that up. Like I said yesterday, I think it was on the afternoon stream with Josh. I mentioned I actually got a call from some people looking on this accumulate. You know, they're buying directly from Coinbase, but they're also looking to buy OTC from individual holders. There was a group that's looking for anybody that has 100 to 300 Bitcoin that they're willing to part with, and that basically UAE oil money is looking to buy as much as they possibly can right now. So I think, and we've been talking about it a lot the last few weeks. If you guys have been watching this channel, you already know this stuff, but these trade wars have been extremely beneficial for Bitcoin. I even have, this is per Fortune now, just shared, the US dollar is losing its status as a safe haven per Fortune. And I think you're seeing, there's a reason we see gold at an all-time high right now. There's a reason we see Bitcoin absolutely exploding, and trust is at an all-time low when it comes to trade partners. And this is really where Bitcoin shines. Bitcoin is it's a hedge and it's a risk on asset, which makes it extremely unique. So it's a great time to be in Bitcoin. There's a reason we say nation state accumulation is underway. Not only are the US doing it, and it really got me thinking, did they do this on purpose? The US, we're talking about accumulating as much Bitcoin as we can. We're trying to formulate a Bitcoin strategy. And then we kind of created the perfect environment that not only gets better deals for the US when it comes to trade, but it also helps people, it helps increase the use case. The best advertising for Bitcoin ever is what they're doing with the dollars right now, is sanctions, is trying to use this reserve currency as a leverage tool against others. That's the fastest thing that's going to get people like, you know what, maybe we should think of something else. So I saw Crypto Crow in the chat. Shout out to another Cardano lover. Always good to have him here. But yeah.
And I can't wait. Or go ahead.
I was going to show, I have a perfect segue with the dollar there, which is the Jack Mallers video I wanted to show real quick. Just a few seconds long here. He says the most base thing I've ever heard, and this is going to go down in history as a really strong quote. But take a listen to this.
No audio.
No audio.
Are you on tab?
Too based is what it was. Yeah, I got to get through the OCD real quick. We're gonna go entire screen, Chrome tab. Boom. There we go. Is that working? Do you see that? There we go.
For me, it's no man should work for what another man can print. And so I don't do dollars strictly out of just principle. Yeah. I will not live my life and contribute my time and energy for what another man can print. The properties money needs, scarcity is the most important, but it needs to be saleable and liquid. You need to be able to exchange it at any point for whatever you need. You need to be liquidity. It needs to be divisible. It's a measuring instrument in an economy. It needs to be able to measure a grain of sand or a professional sports team. So it needs to be able to scale to any transaction size. It needs to be portable. I got to be able to move it. I need to be able to verify its authenticity. If I can't tell the difference between a fake and a real one, these are the properties that define if a money is a good technology to solve the problem. I'll tell you where gold failed. Gold failed when you want a digital economy of billions of people. You were reliant on a central party, corporation, or government to achieve transaction finality. When gold was physical in the local, I went to the local butcher, gave him a gold coin. I went to the local tailor, gave him a gold coin, and it was peer-to-peer. Gold was fine. As soon as we scaled the world to billions and we were on the internet, I have to deposit my gold to the government and trust that Bitcoin is digital gold in this. It's not only a physical bearer instrument, but it's a network. It's a network that can achieve transaction finality without the central party. That's why it's better.
I know this is yeah. So that is just no man should work for what another man can print, and this goes into that conversation that there's a lot of steady bugs out there, right, that are just bearish on the future of Bitcoin and just the establishment of this as whether it's a Bitcoin strategic reserve or a sovereign wealth fund, or et cetera. The perfect example here, which I haven't made the video yet, but I want to cover it. It's just quite boring, is Angola, the Western African country we talked about just a few days ago, where they took a $3 billion loan in euro from the EU, and they just got margin called. And the person that wins out of this isn't the country. The country lost their money. They got margin called. They had to pay a $200 million fee to JP Morgan because of all of the volatility within the bond markets going on because of the trade war. These countries that are reliant on these central entities, these countries that are reliant on these central government or private institutions that control this gold, they have no outs. When a natural disaster comes in, or they're being handed free money or a free loan that seems like it's super helpful to their society. A perfect example is Madagascar, where China came in and gave them a shit ton of money to build an entire FIFA arena, which was supposed to bring a ton of GDP to their local. It's one of their main city. I think it is their main city, the capital of Madagascar. The arena that they built, even though they took the money, ended up not even meeting standards for the FIFA tournament. So it wasn't safe enough. So then they took all of this money and couldn't actually even drive value back to it because they were told no from the FIFA international organization. So it's like this happens to second and third world countries all the time. And then they're dealing with that at the same time as China and the United States printing endless amount of capital. So Bitcoin is that safe haven. It's why when you go on CryptoQuant right now, I wanted to pull up this as well. And you look at Bitcoin on exchanges, there's becoming less and less Bitcoin available on those exchanges.
My screen's still showing.
Oh, I have to share this tab instead there for you. And we're going to go to Pro Chart. I'm going to find it right now because it's always the first one. So it's exchanges. I got to sign up for free. They, of course, are putting a paywall. But you guys know this. You guys know exchanges, the Bitcoin on exchanges is flooding for this reason. And there's tons of assets to that. Not only can, these countries that are rich with oil like Angola, they're one of the largest oil producers in Africa. They can start accessing that negative energy market. They can do what El Salvador is doing, where they're taking volcanic energy. El Salvador straight up building a Bitcoin city. It's based off Bitcoin. They're launching municipal bonds. They're using this as not only just a store of value, but as a safe haven for different assets and financial instruments. So the upside here is extraordinary. I'm excited for it, but I just wanted to share that Jack Mallers clip because I love that quote. What do you ever said with the printing? I already forgot what it was.
No, it was good. I don't want to work for something that another man can print.
Yep.
But what if a woman can? All right, that's sexist.
So that changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
I'll do anything for $1 from a woman.
Let's double click on those. You don't know the whole Strike Jack Mallers 21 play. So here's the deal here. So Strike's Jack Mallers to head the firm seeking a superior Bitcoin play to MicroStrategy. They want to dethrone MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy. So 21 revealed their plans to launch with 42,000 Bitcoin worth with roughly almost 24,000 coming from Tether, 10,000 from SoftBank, 7,000 from Bitfinex. And TJ, what should we know about Bitfinex?
Bitfinex and Tether are the same thing.
Yeah, the same parent corporate holder, correct?
iFinex, I think, is their parent holder. So yeah, if you guys don't know, Bitfinex used to be one of the kind of the first major, not the first ever, but the first largely traded. I want to say, I know it was very popular in 2016. I don't know when it launched, and probably earlier than that, 14, 15. A lot of traders used it. Very predatory. Tether launched from that, being the first stable coin, and together, they make a ton of money, and they basically own this entire 21 Capital thing. I was thinking about it a lot last night. I've got some interesting theories about what's happening here with 21 Capital and Tether and all that kind of stuff. Well, go ahead.
And Steadybug also has an interesting theory. 50K in 26 is possible. So let the man have his. I think that's very possible. All right. So here's their mission, though. Our mission for 21 is simple: become the world's most successful company in Bitcoin, the most valuable financial opportunity of our time. We're not here to beat the market. We're here to build a new one, said Jack Mallers, a public stock built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. The launch of 42,000 makes them the third largest holder. Corporate-wise, they're only going to be behind Strategy and Marathon Digital Holdings, or Mara Holdings. They hold 47,000 according to Bitcoin treasuries. 21 also intends other Bitcoin, say, forays here. They intend to build out several Bitcoin-focused offerings, including Bitcoin debt and equity products, an advisory service, a lending platform, and an educational platform. So this is a little bit of what 21 is going to do. But there's some hot takes, some pretty hot takes. Now, number one, Tether, is going to own 71% of the shares of the company. To me, that's a good thing. They're about the most profitable company in the world, as far as per employee. But here, Adam Livingston, I think, TJ, this is the one that you replied on. So this is just an interesting theory. We're going to lay it out. This is from Adam Livingston. Let's see. Does it say he's the Bitcoin wizard? He's a author of Bitcoin Age and the Great Harvest. So this guy's been writing books about crypto. So Tether, SoftBank, Cantor are forming 21 Capital with Jack Mallers. Let's be real. This is an exoskeleton for Tether's global liquidity machine to operate inside the U.S. and hoard the scarcest asset on Earth without regulatory speed bumps. It's like giving a cartel diplomatic immunity and then asking it to do quarterly earnings calls. SoftBank didn't join for fun. They saw a MicroStrategy meant 2,000 plus returns on Bitcoin purchases. Say, let's do it ourselves. They're launching 585 million in funding, most of that convertible notes backed by Bitcoin at a 3-to-1 collateral ratio. This is LSD for every structuring desk on Wall Street. The moment Bitcoin rips, they release collateral, aka the equity, unlock capital by releasing it, and then buy more Bitcoin. Bitcoin compounding inside a public vehicle. This is Sailor with a stablecoin treasury, high-frequency derivatives desk, and a Tokyo war chest. They literally measure success in Bitcoin per share and Bitcoin rate of return. Not cash flow, not EBITDA, not shareholder yield, Bitcoin per share. That's the KPI. That's the religion. And Tether will hold majority control. That's like OPEC launching a public oil ETF that owns half the oil and pricing it at net asset value. Wall Street's fine with this. Why? The fees are good, volatility is tradable, and the suckers at home still think we're early. But he does say you're not front running Wall Street. You're being front fed the illusion you are. The price, you'll watch the price go vertical while CNBC blames inflation and 7 sovereign ETFs pretend they understand what just happened. Welcome to the great absorption. Hope you brought a chart. TJ, I saw you posted. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I was thinking about this a lot last night because so a few different things, to be honest. One, this is all net good for Bitcoin. Having us, like, price is going to go up dramatically. We're all going to make a bunch of money. I'll go ahead and answer this while we're here. The super chat. Hey guys, is sell in May walk away scenario still in play? I don't think so. I think this summer is going to be extremely bullish. Now that's just kind of a generalization. A lot of major fund managers go on vacation over the summer, that sort of thing. It's kind of a quieter time, but I think we're going to see rate cuts this summer, whether it's May, whether it's June. I think we're going to see a potential easing environment happen again, the end of quantitative tightening for sure. So I think we're going to see an extremely explosive summer. And we've got all this competition happening. We've got states getting close to buying. I think we're going to see a very, very, very strong summer and a strong bull run in general. But what's interesting to me about this 21 Capital play is it's another major institution that's going to be accumulating basically as much Bitcoin as they can, as fast as they possibly can. And so it's getting more and more important, if you're an individual holder, in my opinion, that you do not sell your Bitcoin to these people. They will pay crazy prices, and they're going to do exactly what Josh was talking about. They're going to print money and buy Bitcoin. That's what's happening. They're going to raise money. Nations are going to print money. Institutions are going to raise money, but they're closer to that inner circle of the central banks where they can get that capital first, and they're going to use it to buy hard assets. This is not new. They've been doing it with real estate. They've been doing it with gold, and now they're going to do it with Bitcoin. But what's interesting to me is Tether or Bitfinex, iFinex, whatever you want to call them. I've got a working theory that has been spawned out of the intelligence community. Bitcoin came out very early. Can't control Bitcoin. It got beyond their control before they really realized what was going on. So the next best thing they could do is create Tether. Tether, marred in controversy early on. Do they really have the assets to back up what they're issuing in dollars? Because they're basically operating like a central bank. They are issuing new dollars basically in the digital world. Digital dollars. They are the biggest. You've got USDT and USDC, but far and away for a long time, USDT and still is the number one digital dollar outside of the actual US dollar. And they're one of the leading mining companies. They're the highest profitable company in the world as far as profits per employee. I mean, they're just crushing it. They're basically running the central bank model, and they get to be an issuer of dollars. Now they've got this thing here where they're going to be accumulating more or less all of the Bitcoin. There's also an argument, and I'm not saying this, I don't have anything, this is not founded on anything other than just basement speculation. Put on your tinfoil hat. There's people out there that believe Michael Saylor is a agent of that, out of the intelligent community. So if say you've got MicroStrategy now accumulating all the Bitcoin, you've got 21 Capital accumulating all the Bitcoin, you've got the United States accumulating all the Bitcoin, and every other nation racing to get it, very soon it will be like gold, where it's more or less off the market for regular people. They're going to pry it out of your hands. It might take getting the price at 200,000, 400,000, 500,000, $1 million. They don't care as long as they get over the next 10 years. They don't care as long as they get the Bitcoin. So it's a little bit of a heady thought and discussion, but I think it's extremely important. The longer that time goes on, you do not let go of your Bitcoin under any circumstances, and you do as much as you can to get it and keep it right now, because they will be like, everybody has a number probably that they will part with their Bitcoin. I would consider selling one Bitcoin for $1 million. I would consider that. A lot of people would be sold out well before that. And that's going to be their goal. It's going to be very, they're going to accumulate all of it, and then they're going to sit on it, and then they're going to make all the rest of the world operate on Bitcoin backed derivatives, just like they've done with gold. Really, the true value that most people have is in gold. Everything else is based on that. That's how they started with the dollar. And this 21 Capital thing is very similar. They're going to, it's essentially selling quote unquote paper Bitcoin. You're getting a Bitcoin value, but what you really have is paper representation. I got a super chat here from Ricky. If BTC hits 200K, can Stacks be 6 to 8?
Yeah, 100%. Stacks was trading around $3.50 during the March pump there for Bitcoin. So yeah, there's definitely a world now. Midnight and Cardano, that might take a little bit of the steam out of their sales there. But yeah, Stacks can. I just wouldn't put it super likely. I don't know how many Bitcoin whales want to participate in Bitcoin DeFi. I think they just like sitting on their Bitcoin there. Personally,
I don't know. I think that they may not want to do layer 2s, but they definitely want to do DeFi. That's because in order to do what I'm talking about, in order to hold Bitcoin and never sell it, they want to be able to use wrapped products, whether that's wrapped Bitcoin, CB Bitcoin. They want to earn on it without losing custody of it, and those things are.
I'm just saying, I don't know how many will. I'm not saying no one will. I don't know how popular it'll be. We'll see though. We'll see, because there's a lot of Bitcoin that doesn't move for 10 years. I don't know if those wallets will wake up for this. That's kind of more of my point. Not so much Wall Street. Obviously, Wall Street will. BlackRock probably is lobbying Congress right now to be able to make money with your Bitcoin that they're custodying for you. But that, Jimmy Zong style whale, that's the people I'm like, I don't know if they will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be good for Cardano, right? But that's kind of Cardano's future is reliant on.
And people are saying Cardano's breaking out. SWI is breaking out. Let's look at the charts. Yeah, look at SWI right now. SWI is just going parabolic. This is the 1 minute chart there. So you can see SWI and ADA. If we go to ADA, I don't know if this is real news or not. Cardano breaking out. God, I should have longed some Cardano. I'm so bullish on it. And Kelly, stop arguing with people on the internet, Kelly. Now he's saying big love, though, everybody. But Kelly, you're deep in the trenches 40 seconds ago. Take a breath. Go look out the window. All right, let's
ripping here, dude. We just broke $1 again. This is fantastic, guys. We're getting a little mini alt season on our favorite altcoins, but a lot are still struggling.
Well, Cardano was $1.30 not that long ago.
True, that's true.
I'm taking it as a win though. Ondo's pumping, Tao's pumping. Yeah, a lot of things are pumping right now. But here's just an interesting thought from Full-Time Bitcoin. Well, I think we know why MicroStrategy was rushing lately. MicroStrategy probably knew about the 21 shares investment vehicle. Yeah, they're obviously going to be buying Bitcoin. No, it's 21 shares. You see XXI, just think 21 shares. So yeah, 21 shares buying Bitcoin will benefit MicroStrategy. But their business model is to tap trapped pools of capital that want access to Bitcoin. And so now there's just going to be more pools of capital. So people don't have to go to MicroStrategy for their Bitcoin exposure. And so, there's going to be, I don't know, it seems like this will take the wind out of, MicroStrategy.
This is a good thing. This is a good thing. One, it's great for
more choices is good. Yeah.
But also, I don't want Michael Saylor having 10% of Bitcoin supply.
That's a great point.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think Michael Saylor would be a net negative to the space, but dude, having 10%, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, speaking of owning 10% of the Bitcoin, BlackRock's ETF just pulled in another massive amount yesterday, pulled in $643 million on that inflow. And so looking at the date totals, remember we were saying, folks, 381, this is the biggest influx since January. And then we tripled it almost the next day. And then the following day, another $900 million inflow day. So we're seeing massive amounts of Wall Street money pour into these Bitcoin ETFs.
But and Eric Balchunas inflows when it's supposed to be heading to 50K.
The 2026 retracement, I think that's possible. Do you think Bitcoin won't hit 50K in 26 or can't?
No. I wouldn't say can't, but I don't think it will.
I don't think it will.
I think there's going to be a lot of it depends on how high the price goes this cycle.
If we go to 130, even if we just go to 130K, going back down to $50,000 would be the biggest Bitcoin crash we've seen since probably what, 2018?
No, it should draw down like 81%.
I mean, my numbers.
Is it 81%?
It's
like
in the
80s and 85 and 83. You know, it's drop another probably 80%. Maybe it's 75 with Wall Street.
Yeah, I would
never say never.
Yeah, I would say 79 is a lot more likely, you know, previous or even 70. You know, there's going to be some tough supports to break through. I feel like he's, you know, 50K feels like it's pulled out of his ass a little bit.
I was speaking just in reference to all bears. There's a lot of bears out there that think, even just 2 weeks ago, saying we're going to go back into the 60s. Then we're going to back to the high 50s, 55, 58, whatever these, you know, random price points are. But no, I think it's interesting. I mean, if you have all these companies competing, if you have the establishment, like you're talking digital asset, like tools, we're talking a Bitcoin strategic reserve, potentially sovereign wealth funds accumulating, the Saudi Arabia, the largest oil nation in the world. I mean, obviously the United States, obviously we have the most amount of oil, but they're huge, they're trillionaires, right? It's like if these people are accumulating, how do you break past 77K or 73K? And like I'm talking on top of what is already accumulating now. None of that's here yet. We're expecting that in the latter half of this year and in 2026. So I don't know. I'd be very cautious on that. I'd be very, very cautious on that.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Balchunas talks about, you know, just kind of the last 3 days. ETFs are on a Bitcoin bender. They've consumed 25,000 Bitcoin in 3 days. Bitcoin in 600 million. Number one amongst all ETFs. What's really notable is just how fast the flows can go from first gear to fifth gear. Probably some is basis trade back in effect. That's the fast money that tends to come in and come out with the price there. So the ETFs are slowly accumulating more. This is one of my favorite metrics. US Bitcoin ETFs bought 10,000 Bitcoin. We only mined 450. Very, very, very bullish when you start thinking about the amount of Bitcoin that hits the market every day. So this is people, you know, that eventually all roads are going to lead to a lot of spot buying pressure. Now we do have Charles Hoskinson calling ETH dead. ETH will not survive more than 10 to 15 years. Now, TJ, I have to pop this out. I don't know if you had this clip here. Did you?
I probably do. That's did I send it to you?
I think so. So. It's from Scott Melker here. By the way, Scott Melker got hacked by AI. So just be careful. We'll never message you trying to trade your crypto for you. Scott Melker will never try to trade your crypto for you. And so if you see Josh DMing you, you see me, it's fake.
You won't. I got extorted.
He's trying to sell you his car.
I don't even have an account anymore. So it's really not me.
Yeah.
It's definitely not me. TikTok said, sorry, it's we can't help you. So we're gonna be we'll be handling.
Yeah, I've got this here for you guys. Also, shout out to everybody on Rumble. We are live on X and Rumble. Thanks for joining us from there. Shout out to everybody on X. I saw some of those X chats a little bit earlier in the stream, but I believe this is the clip you were looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't think Ethereum will survive, you know, more than 10 years to 15 years. The layer twos will continue to suckle out all of the alpha, and people will start fighting, and it'll get harder and harder for Vitalik to be able to hold it together through sheer force of will. And users will gradually migrate to other places, and then they're going to get eclipsed by Bitcoin DeFi. So brilliant project. It's just victim of its own success, like MySpace or any of these other things that have a lot of network effect and momentum. BlackBerry is another example. But people have fundamentally different paradigms that over the long term are intrinsically superior.
Ooh, ETH will not survive 10, 15 years. Is that crazy talk, or is there a world that can happen?
There's definitely a world that can happen. It's just very interesting to me. That was almost the opposite of what Rune said from MakerDAO when we had him on. He said he's like 100% confident Ethereum will always survive.
Solana won't, Cardano won't. He said maybe even longer than Bitcoin, remember?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was, you know, it was a hot take. So, but one thing I've learned in this space is almost anything's possible. Like even talking about price levels of like, yeah, sure, Bitcoin could do that. Do I think it will, you know, get back to 50K? Probably not. But is it possible? Sure, a lot of things are possible. Same with Ethereum. You see a lot of those talks, you know, that it's not. I saw a really funny. I almost shared it this morning. You know, they took the E from Internet Explorer and put that at the front of Ethereum. I think you know, the comparison gets made a lot, and it is one of my main things I'm thinking about in crypto is what is the MySpace, what is the BlackBerry, what is the AOL type stuff that had a lot of success, had a big network effect, but it's not going to necessarily stay relevant long term. I still feel very confident in Ethereum. I say it all the time. All of the stable coins run through Ethereum. All of DeFi runs through Ethereum. I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon, but I'm not willing to say never, ever, ever. I think we're good for at least the next 5 years. I'll be interested to see what they come up with over the next couple of years. But yeah, I mean,
well, he has this other quote here. So according to him, L2s have now become parasitic. Would you say L2s are parasitic?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it was a design choice that they made. It may or may not have worked out the way they intended, but
it was definitely a short-term solution to $100 gas fees. I don't say short-term, but the upgrade models where you end up slowly fixing ETH gas. That was going to take years and years and years, but you could spin up an L2 in less than a year. So, maybe we don't need them as much now as we do when we did have $100 and $150 gas fees.
And this is, Steve-O said it was exactly what I was thinking. The fee structure can always change, and that's true. And that's kind of, some people would argue, is a fatal flaw in Ethereum, that the fact that they can change, like you can't be ultrasound money if you hard fork your chain and it changes all the time. So the biggest threat to Ethereum, I would say, is Bitcoin DeFi. And that's what Charles is getting at. He's a big believer in Bitcoin DeFi. He believes Cardano is going to help move that ecosystem along. And if DeFi migrates back to Bitcoin, then yeah, I think Ethereum's in a lot of trouble. Because then what is their core feature? Right now, it's stablecoins and DeFi. Stablecoins can go a lot of different directions. Now, right now, they're needed because of the infrastructure on Ethereum. But if that infrastructure gets built out other places, if it's Bitcoin-backed stablecoins, if we start getting Bitcoin-backed bonds and a lot of these other things that people are talking about over the next decade, that could really change this space a lot and bring a lot of value back to everything being built on Bitcoin. We're not there yet. And we haven't really, and Bitcoin moves slow. We haven't really seen anything that says it's going to happen anytime soon. So I'm still fine holding Ethereum. I still think we'll see a $5,000, $8,000 Ethereum in the not too distant future. But I'm probably, if Ethereum makes up ground against Bitcoin this cycle, I'm probably looking to roll a large, like I've got some fat bags of Ethereum. I'm probably rolling it all into Bitcoin.
All right. Now, I was looking for the picture of him putting an ant on his hands there, but I guess they don't call them ants. They call them something else. Couldn't find it real quick. But yeah, reminder, he just traveled to the Amazonian jungle and stung himself like the world's stingiest insect or whatever. So it's, my financial freedom is in that man's hands.
That's
stingiest.
That's today's SAT word, stingiest.
Most painful sting. How would you say they are most apt to sting? The stingiest?
Hey,
I guess you would say most.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
What we're even talking about now.
So Charles Hostin went to where
I know that. Stung, You're saying stinks or stingus?
Stingiest.
What's the adjective for most likely to sting?
It's stung.
Most aggressive.
Yeah. Most aggressive via
painful?
Stinging.
Yeah.
I meant more the mood of the insect there.
The word is aggressive.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to be aggressive. The airdrop, the midnight airdrop for Cardano, now just in the majority, this is from that same talk that I did yesterday, the majority of the midnight airdrop will go to Cardano holders, rewarding those who have supported the network from the ground up. So Bitcoin is going to be eligible for the airdrop. XRP is going to be eligible for the airdrop. There's going to be a couple more chains that are going to be eligible. So very good news for Cardano DeFi dungeon dwellers like myself there. And so especially in the member stream every Friday, I detail you everything I'm doing in Cardano DeFi. It's a little niche. That's why we don't really put it out on the main channel all that often. But maybe we might have to at least talk about MinSwap or something, TJ. There's a lot of alpha out there in that ecosystem. But speaking of alpha, how about FIFA is now selling tokenized tickets on Algorand. We got tagged in the chat there. So, I found that post here. So Crypto Hooligan in the Disco fam, let us know here. DZ and Josh, here's the FIFA news. They're actually selling World Cup tickets on Algorand. So pretty good news. It's an NFT bundle. The bundle will come like different tickets to the events there. So very, very big news. Makes me a lot less bearish on Algorand. I will say that. I won't say I love the chain just yet, but FIFA's kind of big, y'all.
FIFA's
kind of big.
Algorand's always been deeply entrenched with global influence that might be closely tied to corruption. I don't know, like the Clinton. Well, I mean, at FIFA, look into FIFA.
To host the World Cup requires corruption. Is a lot of allegations that probably are credible, in my opinion.
They're definitely like it's kind of like the Olympics. Look into the Olympic Association. Look into the FIFA Association. Anytime you're driving a ton of money and meetups, like there's definitely a lot there.
And we're based in Atlanta, so we know all about the Olympics blowing up your town. As far as the infrastructure on the highways,
I was here
guys.
for that. Where you guys didn't even live in Georgia when that happened. I was here.
No,
I was
I don't even know what you're talking about. I think that was before I was born.
Huge
1996.
That was literally the year before I was born. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it was the 1996 Olympics.
Wow,
so young. Not you were born in 97.
I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, what are you guys talking about? I was like, FIFA's not here for a few more years. It's coming in like 500 days. I've seen it on the on the big screen when it's I think 900 days or something like that.
Yeah, they say that guy was innocent.
Yeah, that's what they say. But anyway, they also had ties to the Clinton Foundation. That's where I was going with that sentence. But
really? No way, dude. She's the
did.
sweetest.
But you do have that pillar right behind you. There is the Algorand pillar right over Josh's left shoulder. So.
Right there. It's hiding behind the weeds like most of their partners. Just kidding.
It's just waiting to emerge.
just kidding, Algorand. Just kidding.
Yeah.
It pulled the Homer Simpson, you know.
Yeah, just like
you look like you were in a rolling chair right there.
Yeah, I had a little Jamiroquai moment right there.
That was pretty good.
Virtual insanity
Josh
is when you don't hit the like
crazy.
button.
90. How old were you guys in 96?
I want to really. I mean, I was double digit.
We're old. Yeah,
you were double digit,
man. I was double digit.
You were like 7.
Yeah, I was 7.
Okay. Yeah, man, the time was good. Home Improvement ruled the airwaves.
Easy's like, I had my second kid.
I'm watching Home Improvement. That's on Netflix right now. The whole thing. I've been watching that. It's actually great show. Well, I turned him onto it. Great show. If you want like just a background noise, kind of like it'd be like The Office back then, where it's wholesome, good. Just I don't know. The comedy holds up. Tim Allen's pretty funny.
Yeah. Then he had that one son turned goth. It's like TV, like mainstream TV's first goth kid. But speaking of goth kids, let's talk about Pokemon, everybody. That's right. Pokemon on Sui. What is going on here? So the rumor wheel is working overtime on this one today. Pokemon's homepage had a privacy policy update that included a new developer, Parasol Technologies. Miston Labs owns Parasol. Miston Labs, also the developer behind Sui. Not too hard to connect these dots, but someone went even further. This is a little thread going into the details here. OMG, it is happening. NFTs, but how? And so Home has added a new feature on mobile, Medals. This is them announcing the update. Get medals at places like Pokemon Centers, official events, and gift to or trade with your friends. So going to the page, here's someone found something right here, Parasol Technologies. So we covered Parasol. That's going to be owned by Miston Labs. That's behind Sui. But here's where it gets very conspiratorial. It was confirmed, then deleted by Sui Foundation. If you go to the Google page here, Sui blog, you can see gacha games. Think Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and Magic the Gathering has captivated legions. They updated it. They removed Pokemon. Okay, that's pretty interesting right there. Keep going, but it's still visible on the Korean webpage. Okay, but what is Parasol? Parasol on-chain collectibles, player management, marketplace APIs, Sui backend, on-chain collectibles. And then this is where Pokemon Home is. It's a cloud platform for your Pokemon, allowing transfers between compatible games in the ecosystem, basically interoperability. And why would they need the blockchain? Well, Pokemon has huge hacking problem, infinite Pokemon glitch. Blockchain fixes this. Wow, pretty crazy.
I don't want my glitches fixed.
That is crazy.
Now, I don't know anyone that plays Pokemon Go. Definitely swept the nation, I guess about 10 years ago. But Sui, this makes me a lot more bullish on Sui. Pokemon is still one of the most valuable IP franchises in the entire globe. I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. It's almost an infinite amount of characters you can create here. Is the popularity of Pokemon waning, or is this going to stay popular? And can this onboard people into Sui?
I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't want it to onboard people to Sui knowingly. So like how I kind of speak on this a lot with the games. Like gamers don't want blockchain. They don't give a shit. They have no care in the world. Like again, half your gamers are like under the age of 18 anyways and using their mom's credit card, right? So
I want more.
If they're going to integrate it, it just needs to be in a way where if like it's a marketplace, it just is a marketplace in the game, and they don't have to know that they're connecting their wallet and doing all this stuff, right? Needs to just look like you're just signing up for a regular account. You're a part of a regular game, and if you're buying, trading, selling those collectibles, it's got to be all within the app. And I think Sui's been one of the dominant players here. So if anybody can pull this off, it's definitely the Sui Foundation. But what I would honestly like to see is Sui should just be profiting off the transactions, whether it's like 25 basis points or maybe they do 33% tax. I don't know what they're going to do on that because For example, guys, if you want an app on the App Store, because this is something I've been looking heavily into, because we want to bring an app to the App Store in probably, hopefully 6 months to a year. It's incredibly costly. They like take 30% of your initial payment on the platform. So it's, the barrier to entry there. I think blockchain could solve a lot of that, but you have to remember, I think it was, I don't know if it was Facebook or Meta, whatever it was. They were doing like one of those brainstorm sessions where they bring in like, 30 people to a small little group, a little study group to get kind of feedback on their platform, just random people. And they're like, hey, do you care that Facebook sells your data? Are you going to still use their platform? All of them said yes. None of them care. The same thing with games. And some of these games, look at Oblivion. Oblivion just relaunched. That is one of my favorite games growing up. They just remastered it, dropped it with Bethesda, saved the entire, I think, studio, in my opinion, here randomly last night. It just blew up on the internet. They left all the glitches in the game, and all the glitches and all of the weird face character, like swamp, like that's what's making it go viral. That's
took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah. So it's like, imagine if you took like some of these glitches that exist within these games, that is part of the nostalgia of playing it could hurt the user base. And so it's kind of like this give and take. Like if you're going to integrate something into a video game, don't make it about that blockchain. Don't make it about blockchain, right? Make it about the user. And if they can do that, I think we can pull it
What's
off.
your favorite video game glitch?
Favorite video, that's a good, probably Elder Scrolls Online was a Druax glitch where I was farming these pigs and I would get about a 30 party of my guild members, and we would farm the heck out of these pigs in a way that allowed us to accrue unlimited Druax. This is so nerdy, and I'd go take that Druax and then sell it in a town. And this is probably where I started getting like into sales and into Twitch and everything. Was I would literally, in Elder Scrolls, you can strip your characters all the way down. No, do with that in Magic Days you want. And I would just put them on a dance mode in the middle of the town. And I would just sell this stuff. And so like I'd make money for our guild so we can afford buying other equipment and stuff to fight in the PvP.
Did you have a glitch that you liked, TJ?
No, I was never. I was
like,
never,
whoa, wait.
Never great with glitches. I will say I agree with what you were saying when it comes to Pokemon. Though I want our editor and video producer. I think he did play a lot of Pokemon Go, and when we talked about this morning when we were setting up the title and the thumb, he said almost the same thing you said. Like nobody that plays Pokemon wants crypto involved in it at all, and if they hear about it, it'll actually be a turnoff more than anything. If they don't know about it, they won't care. But nobody, gamers for the most part hate crypto for a lot
Chemistry
of
Bro game. That's honestly Chemistry Bro. That was one of the three I would have said, and then the other one would have been in the Pokemon, like when you go in, there was a way to like take your eggs and duplicate your Pokemon, and you could like just max out. Like
I'm gonna go to 1981 reference. Super Mario Brothers World. The turtle would go down the thing at the end of the mission, and there was one level you could get infinite.
Ancient.
Go to this Smithsonian Institute, and it's like on film reel. It's black and white. You gotta be in a dusty room.
The Nintendo Hall of Museum or whatever. It's like that's actually dope though.
All right, and don't forget BitLab going live afterwards. Now we do have some Solana news as well. Soul Strategies, that sounds like a Mortal Kombat spinoff there, announces 500 million convertible note facility to buy Solana. Soul Strategies is just a Canadian publicly traded firm that basically its whole mission statement is work within the Solana ecosystem. And so they issued 500 million in debt, just think debt, to buy and stake in Solana. They're part of a publicly traded company listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange, and its share price has risen 25% so far on the day. And part of their strategy is they're going to stake their soul, be a validator, and make money with their Solana. Yeah,
they're trying to be the strategy is they're doing the same thing strategy is doing for Bitcoin. They're doing for Solana, so they're trying to be the Solana. The Solana strategy is the kind of the idea there. So
yeah, we covered the Janiver news on the Solana video. So now we have two large companies leaning into this way.
What's interesting though here too is like what I'm worried about now is layer 2s.
20 Luis Rincon.
Because like Sui, Solana, obviously not L2s, they're L1s and massively scalable, quick, fast, don't necessarily need the L2 component. And that's why, Ethereum's looking to implement the Risk V or Risk 5, right? Is they want more scalability. So I wonder what that's going to mean for, like in this case, Charles Hoskinson's like Ethereum's not going to be here in 10 years, but then you had MakerDAO on's like, no, Ethereum is going to be here in 5 to 10 years. So it also makes you just bring that into questioning. You guys need to just constantly be monitoring these altcoins. That is the lesson out of this, is we don't know what the outcome is going to be in 5 or 10 years, because only 4 years ago, we thought L2s were the next sliced bread. We thought Polygon Matic was going to reshape the entire financial, and it had a lot of innovation. So I don't want to discredit these projects. There'll be people out there that are just haters, and they're like, man, fuck, F those projects, F those L2s. And you're like, okay, well, if it wasn't for those L2s in the first place with those engineers, we wouldn't have learned about the scalability solution. And so with quantum and everything coming right around the corner, you guys like to say that Ethereum won't be here in 10 years. I would never take that. You know, it could definitely be here in 10 years. It be updated and come up with new advancements, and the engineers can do some crazy things in the next 10 years. But at the same time, it's, you know, everything besides Bitcoin are like Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not changing really fundamentally whatsoever. There's only going to be 21 million. You know what Bitcoin is, right? In terms of Ethereum and all these other smart contract protocols, they're implementing new languages and new designs and new developments like 24/7. And so it's just a good lesson to have here when you see two really successful founders. Charles Hoskinson is at the pinnacle of the crypto space. You have MakerDAO, one of the largest DeFi platforms out there. It was MakerDAO, correct? You guys had on one that was
Yes. Yep.
It's like you have pinnacle leaders in the crypto space that are saying, yeah, I don't think this is going to happen, or I think this is going to happen. And when you have minds that are that genius, that are levels above us in terms of engineering, like you have to just realize what that means for the development of crypto in the future. There might be L3s, there might be cross-chain, you know, gasless fee systems that are created that are here today, but irrelevant in 4 years. So just keep that into consideration when you guys are holding these assets. And again, like in this market, just take your profits, right? Let's just take your profits. Go chill on a beach and let these people kind of engineer their way to the top.
Don't go broke taking profits. Yeah. Now, do you think Arrow could be top 10? To me, that is a little lofty. No. I can't see 30 though.
Yeah.
I can see 30.
I think it could be, what is it? It's top 100 right now, right?
I may not be.
I think it could just be top 100. Like I think a lot of your top 100 projects, like
oh, it's close. It's 120.
It's 120.
Yeah.
Like I think the top 100 projects will probably all be over $10 billion one day. So it's like you know, I think there's also, you don't have to be a top 10 project. And also you probably, you don't have to be. I think when was this? 2021? What did it mean to be a top 30 project? Was like, I think top 30 had less than $1 billion market cap projects in it. So it's like the difference we've seen from that to today, I think it's just going to continue to expand. I think Arrow is going to crush it. And I think being a top 10 though, that's really hard to pull.
I would say really I agree. And that takes us to Say news here. Canary Capital registered for a staked Say ETF in Delaware. So this is good news for Say holders. I will say I'm pretty long-term bullish on Say. In fact, it's one of the last 3 coins I have DCA'd into. When I go to the Say chart, I haven't looked at this yet. Look like the pump is kind of slowing down. Let's see, go to Say. People ask about that. Was it the Pepe short? I closed the Pepe short at 20x, or I'm sorry, 20% loss. I did reopen it, just half the amount there. Just, you know, still having a little bit of fun here. But let's go to Say. Let's go to the daily. And to me, this is looking pretty good here. This is, I'm assuming the 50 moving average is going to be the 200. We have now officially turned the 50 into potential support. Looks like yesterday's candle, you know, burst through it. The day before that acted as resistance. And so this is good news for Say. When I'm looking at this chart, I'm seeing a lot of bullishness. If we go to the weekly, I think it looks even more bullish. I know the 3-day, I think, was printing some bull divs. So yeah, Say, I would say this is not a terrible one to accumulate.
Yeah, a lot of alts actually really starting to look pretty good right here. You know, we were covering it earlier. A lot of them starting to move compared to big. Oh, I was just looking at the top 100, but I mean, we got Trump moving. Matic had a 40% week. Ondo obviously on a huge move, 6% in the hour. Sui, Injective, Tau, Cardano. A lot. Seeing all these happening while Bitcoin is more or less flat. It's, you know, I'm really watching this altcoin index. You know, if you see this start to move into this orange zone where you're in the kind of the 20s to 30s, I will call it full blown alt season when we're up here above the 50 number on altcoin index here. I think this is a pretty interesting thing. Now, and this is basically just measuring out of the top 100 altcoins, which ones are overperforming Bitcoin. So only 17 are. Be curious to see, will it show the 17? Yeah, this is a pretty good chart here. So what the ones that are doing it, Form, AB, IP, you know, so interesting. Oh, this is over the last 90 days. I was like, this is not. Let's look over the last 7 days. Is that going to update this? No, it's not. So.
We're still seeing the one screen here.
Oh, well, that's because I opened a new tab, so it doesn't matter. Well, I can't pull up the daily on it anyway. It was only showing over the last 90 days, but a lot of altcoins starting to perform very well. Avalanche is one that I'm watching. Obviously, you guys already mentioned, you know, Chainlink's on the move.
I love this one. William Perez on X was like, funny, I'm watching you guys on YouTube and can see you posting it because I posted the Ondo hitting $1. So shout out to William Perez.
Yeah,
I just want to do that. That was pretty fun there. But yeah, I think a lot of these movers. Look, I think we've said how many times we say it under 70, 75K, 80K, like buy those blue chips, buy your favorite projects, dollar cost average. Now's the time. Two amazing opportunities over the course of, I think, those 4 weeks where we dipped under 80K. We had a great accumulation zone. Most of these products are up since we bought Aerodrome live on the stream. It's up 100%. We bought it 30 cents. It's at almost 60 cents here today. So
I mean, we were literally screaming buy at the bottom. We called the bottom. I mean, we need to go. We need to go clip that and remind people.
I need to go clip that. Yeah, in one of our 100 streams that I have to go find. And,
also, are you pulling up the go to the homepage on YouTube for us, DZ?
I didn't see it on the top because we're live right now, so it has removed it.
What are you looking for?
Somebody was asking for a L Bank tutorial.
Yeah, so if you go to our channel, I think you share my screen here. So when we're live,
I have it here for you. Oh, no.
I think when we're live, it bumps your video, but when we're no longer live, it should be right here. So you have to maybe wait 20
Which, guys,
minutes.
go get into that L Bank trading competition. It's super easy to hit. There's like, put the link in the bio right now, guys. If you're not trading on there right now, or even just buying your crypto, $13,000 is being given away. And I don't want it to be me, DZ, and TJ winning that.
Yeah, beat us. We want you
to. Unless if it is between us, I need to beat DZ. That's just that's the truth here. I gotta show the. I'm behind. You're way ahead of me.
You'll catch up fast with like one trade. All right, but speaking of catching up fast, how about that Trump coin? Trump caught up with some of this price action. The meme coin Trump surged 65%. What is the announcement? I see you in the chat talking about it. He announced that the top 220 holders will get to have dinner with him. Let's go to the chart right here. This is the Trump chart. On the shorter, this is just the 1 hour. So yeah, you can see the pump right there. Made the announcement. Market went absolutely nuts. But we failed to actually hit this high again. And right now the market is kind of repricing it. Looks like maybe found a little bit of a steady floor around $12. When we zoom out, that looks pretty ugly.
Folks. Do you need a VPN on Albank? We need a VPN on Albank?
You shouldn't
just sign up, but then not.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, guys, just use NordVPN. Do we have a NordVPN or anything we can like a link?
Nah,
we need to get one of those because I use the NordVPN and we just need to put it in a bio for everybody. Like if you guys, by the way, you should be 100% always using a VPN anyways. We'll work out on something, maybe try to get a discount for one of these for you guys just to get you guys like a free month or something like that. But if you're not using a VPN, you're like at massive security risk. If like yours, and I know there's probably a lot of people in this chat that are at fault for this. I used to be this person. If you're connecting to Wi-Fi at even like a Starbucks or you're at the airport connecting to Wi-Fi or a hotel connecting to Wi-Fi and you're not on a VPN, I know a lot of you have your crypto on your phone. You are exposing yourself just to an excess amount of risk. One of the biggest places people get hacked is actually crypto events or just conferences in general.
Yeah,
because that's where, if you guys have ever been to a conference, it doesn't have to be a crypto conference. It could be a music festival. All those QR codes that are being thrown around, those are just hackers. There's literally hackers that just put these QR codes, or even worse, like if you're at a conference and there's outlets, sometimes they'll manipulate an outlet to where if you plug in your charger, you're going to drain your phone. So just always have those VPN risks because it will protect your phone from a lot of those security risks. Not completely all of them, but it helps you at least. It's 100% better than not having a VPN whatsoever. So
and people are, they got a lot of comments about this Trump dinner. Is having dinner with Trump a utility? I'll say, yeah, that's a utility. I think a lot of people would like to have that. Let's see here. That's one way to get boomers to buy crypto. Okay. We did see that actually there was wallet creation with the NFT drop that he did. So it actually was an onboarding event. And I think we saw the same thing with Solana downloads when the Trump wallet, when the Trump coin came out. So
blew up.
It did get people. It was an onboarding event here, 220 at the same time. I think so. Well, let's look at the details here. And so will this pump last? So the announcement of an exclusive dinner with the 220 holders triggered a price bump, but the data questions its sustainability. From a performance perspective, the meme coin has been a disappointment, just like a young DZ. After soaring above $75 on launch day, its gains quickly disappeared as investors noticed the high concentration of tokens and the short-term vesting. It's difficult to justify the market cap, given that 80% of the supply was allocated to the founders and entities controlled by Trump, like his son. For comparison, well-established projects like ARB, Jupe, and Maker have market caps below 1.6 billion. So you're saying, it's just pretty interesting. This $2.6 billion market cap is probably higher right now. Let's actually go to Trump with the surge. What kind of market cap are we looking at now? 33%. Okay, now it's retraced. Now it's actually down to 2.5 if we were around. So they're saying these other quality projects, maybe that's why we should have, maybe you'd be better off investing in that. What would you rather put $100 in if you didn't have much crypto, though? Would you buy some Jupiter, some R Maker, or do you think you should buy Trump if you want a good game?
Honestly, I like Jupiter, to be honest. Jupiter's still undervalued massively, which I haven't traded this forever. We were trading this massively in the like this was one of our best trading. Like we were just trading in and out of this thing nonstop when it was in this right here. So I saw I've actually drawn out here. We traded pretty much every single price movement here, all the way to the top, and then we just stopped trading it because we were just using this as a trading project. It broke down. I mean, obviously it was at 32 cents. That's when I would have wanted to hop in. But I think if you get any pullbacks on here, I think Jupiter is going to be back at over $1 this cycle easily, especially with all of the they've been purchasing so many different companies. Like they're a leader alongside Radium. So if Solana succeeds and retail comes back, I think Jupiter is going to follow suit with that pretty closely.
People got ideas on what this Trump is going to be. I'm not going to get into what a key party is there. If you don't know, don't worry about it. Let's see, dinner or McDonald's. Maybe it's KFC. It could be KFC. Let's see. Others are saying I wouldn't go if it was free, says 22. Now, looking at the Trump token, it is now 84% below its all-time high. However, it's still a top 10 token in terms of volume. So people really like trading this token here. You see it coming in with some stable coins, XRP, Solana, Bitcoin, and Tether, and ETH, beating Sui, beating Doge, beating Pepe, which is pretty important right there because Pepe has a lot of volume as well. Oh man, what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, I'd go to the dinner. I'd go to the dinner in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Why would anybody not
go to that dinner?
Yeah.
Maybe they just voted for Kamala and just don't want to.
I don't care.
They're just bad at business.
All right, would you get dinner with Kamala?
Those 220.
I'd get dinner with Kamala.
I'd get dinner with Kamala. I'd get dinner with Joe Biden because you're not sitting down with the president. You're sitting down with the 220 very wealthy businesses that are around that circle. That is what.
Hey, Doug, did you beat those mashed potatoes yourself?
I have TDS, so no, I can't go. I have to.
I would,
dude. It's like, dude,
I'd smell Kamala's drink.
That's vodka. I would smell.
100%.
You're like, oh, can I have a sip of your water? Oh, that's a straight vodka.
Who would you not get dinner with? I mean, Nancy Pelosi. That one I feel like
get dinner with Nancy, dude. You telling me Nancy's got the fucking craziest stories out of any senator? Like, she's probably like, I want to be like, how did you and JFK, huh? You and JFK, and you weren't kidding. You were having the time of your life.
Is there anyone you wouldn't get dinner with?
I'd be like, Nancy, what's your stock strategy?
What's Paul buying today?
The only person I would not
Arm & Hammer stock.
Arm & Hammers.
Shouldn't make fun of that.
I'm trying to think of like a politician I would.
I wouldn't go. I wouldn't have dinner
Pritzer. I think
with the Pope right now.
I mean, Fauci. I don't know if I'd.
Fauci. I want to be able.
Yeah, there's something in the food with Fauci.
Jasmine Ratchet. Hell no.
By the way, you took a new experimental mRNA technology via your soup. What?
I'd get dinner with Bernie. I'd get dinner with AOC. Like, they're still, just because you disagree with them.
Jasmine Crockett.
No, she's just, I would just lose brain
Rosie
cells
O'Donnell.
Conversation
How about
with
that?
her.
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell.
I would want to go to dinner with politicians that, like, even if they're in positions I don't agree with or like are like on a democratic like scale,
right?
I would still want to have a conversation.
Elski said never Elizabeth Warren.
God, that would be tough.
That one would be Karen. That would be a hard. I think it's fair to say.
Let us know in the chat though.
Let us be weird.
Yeah, let us know who you wouldn't.
Like, why are you doing that with your hand?
Get dinner with.
I don't think Tim Walz would have any upside to it. Like, I think he's just kind of like a pawn in a lot of the democratic politics. Like, you just put it. Again, I'm like, how I look at it is like, like if you hate a politician so much,
Mitch McConnell's food, you'd have to like feed him like a bird. So that one wouldn't be fun. You have to be like cutting his meat.
Real quick, Travis here is asking, Elbank won't let me trade, says IP is restricted. That's what we're talking about. You have to use the VPN depending on where you are, or you should be using a VPN all the time. And that should solve a lot of those issues for you. So if you're using a VPN, you can use Nord, you can use, a lot of people use, isn't it a blue VPN, or there's a bunch of them out there. Use whatever one you want, but you should definitely be doing that for security reasons.
Oh, there's a good one. I have no interest in talking with Dan Crenshaw. Like any Rhino, probably like pro, like war, like a Josh Shapiro that's signing bombs.
Here's why we have to go to war with Iran, like, Josh. We have to.
Yeah, like I would just be heated the whole time. I don't think I could make it through the dinner. But
would you get dinner with Putin? Now that's a scary one.
Yeah, Zelensky too.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Zelensky, I don't know if
I'm eating there, but I'm definitely I would sit down.
I'd pretend drink, like
fake slurping. I would interview any world leader. I would interview any single world leader.
Jong-un?
I would 100%.
Careful saying that. All right, and on that note, folks, we are already going to get canceled by the Google overlord. So if you want to smash that like button, we have a avalanche video coming out tonight. So turn on notifications. If you're missing our uploads, you're missing. I mean, I want to say it's more than half the content we're putting out because we're putting out a lot of the alpha on these videos. If we just go check some of the stuff that we put out lately here. Let's see here. So massive SWE pump. I told you, it says 1 day ago, but technically this was 2 days ago. Josh was already talking about risk V, well before people. And I was bringing up some of this Cardano news well before the lemmings there. So let us, help us support the channel. Hit subscribe. If you want to join the member stream on Friday, hit the join button. You'll be hanging out with me tomorrow. You can ask any question you want related to crypto, related to finances, heck, related to anything. I'll answer all the questions. Josh is going to work on a video. Josh, any parting message for the Disco fam?
Hit that like button, subscribe. Peace out.
Turn on notifications. We're doing a lot of live streams these days, so if you want to get those before don't miss them. Turn on the notifications.
And I'm still